circumstances which seem to defy reason itself. Just reflect for a moment on the baffling nature of the devices used, for example, to drive the nails home in the case of the crucified countess, or behead that tiresome infant in the grisly affair of the Gloucestershire graveyards, or disembowel the meddlesome sepoy in the baleful business of the butchered Brahmin. Here, of course, it is the same, apparently, without rational explanation. But it's quite easy when you come to think of it logically, Inspector. Dr. Grayson was never in London at the time of the murder. In fact, the good doctor stayed in a small hotel in Melksham on the night in question, and then returned to Broughton Gifford on the 2:40 train, disguised as Sir Mortimer Turret's valet, Burton, making sure his arrival was noted by the ticket inspector. From then on, his plan was simplicity itself. Knowing it was Burton's day off, he had no difficulty in entering Hellrake Hall unobserved and murdering Sir Mortimer with the arrow from the astrolabe, which he had previously sharpened on the stone knife grinder by the scullery window. Remember my query about brass knives at the time? I was worried about those metal shavings. By Jove, Lord Meridew, sir, you don't miss a trick. But since you appear to know so much, sir, continued the inspector humbly, I wonder if you could explain just how the murderer managed to leave the body of his victim in the middle of the tennis court and effect his escape without leaving any tracks behind him in the red dust. Frankly, sir, we in the police force are just plain baffled. St. John Lord Meridew, the great detective, rose majestically, his huge Father Christmas face glowing with mischievous delight. Slowly, he brushed the crumbs of seedy cake from the folds of his pendulous waistcoat. The police may be baffled, Inspector, he boomed, but Meridew is not. 30 years ago, the murderer, Dr. Grayson, was a prominent member of the Ballet Russe, dancing under the name of Oleg Graysinski. Though the years had altered his appearance somewhat, yet his old skill had not deserted him. He carried the body to the center of the court, walking on his points along the white tape which separated the service boxes, and from there, he threw it 7 feet into the court, close to the baseline where it was found. And then, with a neatly executed fouette, he faced about and went back the way he had come, thus leaving no traces. And that, Inspector, is Meridew's solution.
Hello? Are you there? Mr. Wyke? Mr. Wyke?
Who's that?
It's me, Milo Tyndall. I think you're expecting me.
Yes, indeed. So good of you to come. Won't you join me?
Well, I have been trying to do exactly that for quite some time.
Here we are. Yes, my outdoor inner sanctum, I designed it myself, provides for me just that extra bit of privacy that an author requires.
I must say, you're not an easy man to drop in on.
Just so. So you're Milo Tyndall. I'm Andrew Wyke. Welcome to Cloak Manor.
Thank you. I found your note when I came down from London this afternoon.
Oh, good, yes. I hoped you'd be here this weekend, so I pushed it through your letterbox a little earlier today. Well, now, what do you have to drink?
Vodka and tonic, please.
Oh, of course. How are you settling in here at Laundry Cottage?
Very well, thank you.
Using it for weekends, that sort of thing?
Yes, that sort of thing.
Vodka, I don't seem to have any out here. Is,
Gin will do.
Good. Yes, a charming little place, Laundry Cottage, ideal for relaxations of all kinds. Unfortunately, I don't have time for them myself. As a matter of fact, I've just dictated the denouement of my new book, Death by Double Fault. I must say, it's gone extremely well. Ah, then. Soda. Ah, beer. See, the tonic here either. It's awful. Yeah, shall we go indoors?
Whatever you like.
Good. Tell me, do you agree that the detective story is the normal recreation of noble minds?
I'm afraid I don't know very much about noble minds. Is it supposed to be?
I'm quoting from Philip Cordella, a biographer of the 30s. The golden age when every cabinet minister had a thriller by his bedside and all detectives were titled.
Before your time, I expect.
Somewhat. Let me carry that.
Oh, thank you so much. Very good of you. Yet, you know, even today, I still set my works among the gentry. And a great many ordinary people seem to enjoy them, in spite of our classless society.
I imagine they do a great deal of your stuff on television.
Oh, God forbid. I'd never permit it. And, incidentally, it's not stuff. No, television's not my line of country at all. That's detective fact, not detective fiction.
And therefore no recreation for noble minds?
You have it in a nutshell, my dear Milo, if I may so address you.
Oh, you might as well. We're all on first-name terms these days, Andrew.
Of course we are. And you and I do need to be friendly, do we not? How would you like your drink? With ice? With ice?
Yes, please. What does he do?
Oh, that's Jolly Jack Tar, the jovial sailor. He and I have a really splendid relationship. I make the jokes, and he laughs at them.
Here, mein Freund, put that behind your necktie.
He didn't laugh.
No, it wasn't meant to.
I thought you were trying to be funny.
Oh, no, you'll know it when I am.
I see. Cheers.
Prost.
What's this?
That is an intensely complicated 4th dynasty blocking game called Samar. I've been studying the thing for months, but I'm still only a beginner. I wonder if you'd mind putting that back. It's taken me rather a long time to get it there. There's the center column, 4th from your right.
Well, now, I understand you want to marry my wife. Forgive me raising the matter, but as Marguerite is away for a few days in the north visiting relatives, I thought this might be an appropriate moment for you and me to have a little chat.
I see.
Well, is it true?
Yes. With your permission, of course.
Why not? You seem to be a personable enough young man, nicely spoken, neatly dressed in brand new country gentleman's clothing. I'm sure you won't mind me asking you a few questions about your background, parents and so forth.
My mother was born in Hereford, a farmer's daughter, and my father is an Italian who came to this country in the 30s from Genoa.
In the 30s, Jewish?
No, Catholic. Very devout. Of course, I'm not religious at all myself.
My dear boy, you don't have to excuse yourself to me. We're all liberals here. I have no prejudice against Catholics, not even lapsed Catholics. In fact, some of my best friends are lapsed Catholics. But tell me about your father. Was his name Tyndall, too?
No, his name was Tindolini. But if you had a name like that in those days, you had to make it an ice cream. He was a watchmaker, and he wanted us to become English, so he changed it.
Become English? Was he a successful man?
No. As a matter of fact, he wasn't. You can't expect to make a living these days just repairing watches. He went broke in the end. I always told him he would.
Well, you must make him something of a burden to you.
Yeah, it does a bit. He never went back, you see. He's still in Soho, still thinks he had it good all those years.
Do you? What do you do?
Don't you know? I have a hairdressing salon in South Kensington. Casa Tindolini.
Oh, you can use that word these days, can you? People don't take it for an ice cream salon.
No, the ladies seem to like the continental touch.
English too wholesome for them, eh?
Yeah, well, it's not chic, you see. We found that it pays to provide the Latin lover atmosphere. Of course, we lay it on a bit thicker in the Brighton shop, the less sophisticated down there. I mean to say, in London, half of them have actually got...
Latin lovers? Where do you live? Above, behind, or below your shop?
I lease a mews house nearby. It's convenient and attractive. It's Georgian, actually.
From Genoa to Georgian in a single generation, eh? Not bad.
But I doubt whether an 18th century architectural gem in South Kensington whispers quite the same magic to Marguerite as it does to you.
She adores old houses. She can't wait to live in it.
I'm sure she already was living in it, once or twice a week at least. Not mistaken, am I? And that your motive in renting the cottage down here was to increase the incidence of this bi-weekly coupling.
Is that what you asked me over here to chat about?
Never speak ill of the deadly, eh? If I choose to say that my wife converses like a child of 6 and makes love like an extinct shellfish, I shall. And I don't need to ask her lover's permission to do so either.
Thank you for the drink.
Oh, no. I thought you were brought up in England. Surely you know it's not done to be rude.
You were being rude about a woman I'm in love with.
On the contrary, I was reminiscing about my wife.
It comes to the same thing.
Things mostly do, you know. I'll wager that in a year's time, it'll be you who'll be being rude about Marguerite and I who'll be being rhapsodic and quite forgotten how intolerably tiresome, vain, spendthrift, self-indulgent, and generally bloody crafty she really is. Can you afford to take her off my hands?
Afford to?
Support her in the style to which she was not accustomed before she met me, but now is.
Well, I'm not a millionaire, but I'm not starving either. The shop in London's doing all right. The one in Brighton's almost breaking even. By this time
Next year, sometime never. What you're really saying is that at present, you're skint.
We'll survive.
Survival is scarcely the point. Presumably, when you're married to Marguerite, you'll want a place on the Riviera, fast car, couple of mistresses.
Presumably. Just because you need those things.
Oh, no, just this fading mansion, the slowest Bentley in Wiltshire, and only one mistress, I'm afraid.
Taya, the Finnish bird who runs the sauna in Salisbury.
Oh, you know about Taya, don't you?
Marguerite and I have no secrets from each other.
Not even mine, it seems. Taya is a Karelian goddess. Her golden hair smells of pine, and her cobalt eyes are the secret forest pools of Finlandia.
I hear that she's a well-scrubbed blonde with all the sex appeal of a second-hand Jeep.
Not so, dear boy. You can take it from me. Taya is an engaging little trollop and suits me mightily. Mind you, she takes a bit of keeping up with. It's a good thing I am pretty much of an Olympic sexual athlete.
Yes, I suppose these days you are concentrating more on the sprints than on the long-distance stuff.
Not so, dear boy. I'm in the pink of condition. I could copulate for England at any distance. Red.
Well, as they say in the Olympics, it's not the winning, it's the taking part that counts. Are you going to marry her?
Oh, no. I just want to live with her.
So what's stopping you?
Basically, the firm of Prurient and Pry Limited, whom you and Marguerite have seen fit to employ, are so innocent. Those nicotine-stained private detectives who've been camping outside Taya's flat for the last week.
It was an insurance policy to keep you from changing your mind about the divorce.
How did you know I wasn't having you watched?
Why not? Afraid of what you might find out? Or didn't you think that was possible?
Now, don't start doing a fertility dance. Of course, I knew that they'd find you and Marguerite rotting away like crazed weasels. But why should I pay good money to have something confirmed which I'd known for months? Black.
Then if you knew, why didn't you do something about it?
Well, of course, I had to assure myself that you and Marguerite were going to be a fixture. You see, I want to lose the dear girl for life. Not just a 2-week Tindolini perm set and touch up.
Good shot.
Yes, it was. Yellow. You see, you don't know her as well as I do. You think you do, but you don't. If you fail her, by which I mean cancelling the account at Harrods or shortchanging her on winter to Jamaica, she'll be back to me in a jiffy, mewing for support. And guilty wife or no, she may be entitled to get it. Green.
Money isn't everything. And what if she is used to luxury? Whose fault is that?
It's not a fault if you can afford it. But can you? Knowing you to be hard up, Brown, has she shown any signs of mending her ways in these last idyllic 3 months? Clue? When, for instance, did she last turn down Dom Perignon in favor of, no offense, mind you, the persuasive charms of Dago Red? Black. No, I'm not joking. How much has this brief liaison cost you so far? And that old dad of yours in Soho, when did you last send him any money?
We have talked about money. Often I've told her we spend too much.
She takes no notice.
No.
Silvery laugh, coquettish turn of the head.
Something like that.
Well, it is to solve this little problem that I've invited you round here tonight. And this, as they say, is where the plot thickens.
What plot?
Whatever are you doing with that cue in your hand?
I was waiting for you to miss.
Foolish boy. Once upon a time, my dear Milo, there was an Englishman called Andrew Wyke, who, in common with most of his countrymen, was virtually castrated by taxation. To avoid total emasculation, his accountants advised him to put a considerable part of his money, some £250,000, into jewelry. His wife, of course, was delighted.
Marguerite never told me that you'd given her any jewelry.
Oh, nor did I. Of course, it's still mine, as well she knows. We just thought it'd be more amusing for her to wear it than for me to bank it. After all, it's fully insured.
I see what you mean by the plot thickening.
I'm glad you followed me so readily. You see, I want you to steal that jewelry. Tonight, for choice, with Marguerite away, it's an admirable opportunity.
What about the servants?
I've sent Mr. and Mrs. Hawkins away to the seaside for a 48-hour paddle. They won't be back till Sunday night, so you see, the house is empty. Cheers. Well, what do you say?
It sounds distinctly criminal.
Oh, of course it's criminal. All good money-making schemes in England have to be these days. Now, the jewelry, when it's not in the bank, lives in an ingeniously hidden safe somewhere here in the study. Where, for instance, would you look for it? Good likeness, would you say? Of course, it's 18 years ago.
I don't think you'd hide your safe behind it. I've seen that in too many movies.
Good thinking. All right, then, where? Are you up to finding it? There are certain skills best acquired in public bars, I suppose. But whatever made you think?
You and your games. That is the only game in this room.
Very clever. Anyway, the jewels are in there. All you have to do is steal them, sell them abroad, and live happily ever after with Marguerite. All I have to do is to claim the insurance and live happily ever after with Thea.
Is that what you asked me over to hear? A grotty little plot to defraud the insurance company?
I'm sorry you found the plot grotty. Personally, I thought it was all rather nicely clear and simple.
Look, supposing I do as you say and steal the jewels. If I sell them under my own name, I'll get picked up the moment you report the loss. If I sell them to a fence, always presuming I could find one, he'd carve me up. I'd get a fraction of their value.
Not with the fences I know.
What fences would you know?
Finest in Europe. Prudent, yet prodigal. I first met them when I was researching for the deadly affair of the Druce diamond. Surely you've read it. Pity. It's an absolute corker. In any case, on your behalf, I have already contacted a certain gentleman in Amsterdam. He'll treat you very well. He won't get the full amount for the jewels, of course, but you'll get about 2/3. Say, 1/2. 170,000 pounds. You'll get it in cash.
170,000 quid?
Cash.
Why should this fellow pay so much?
Because he will get what no fence ever gets. Title to the jewels. You see, in addition to stealing the jewels, you have also to take the receipts I got for them. Now, what does my insurance company discover as it swings ponderously into action, antennae pulsing with suspicion? It discovers that someone impersonating Andrew Wyke sold the jewels for 170,000 pounds cash, but they still have to pay me hard cheese. Think it over. Take your time.
Look, I know this sounds stupid, but have you had any experience? I mean, have you ever actually committed a crime before?
St. John Lord Merridew would have a pretty lean time of it if I didn't think up any crimes for him to solve.
St. John Lord who?
You're joking.
What about?
Who is St. John Lord Merridew? Why, even Marguerite, when I first met her, knew and adored him. He's my detective, known to millions throughout the civilized world, with a nose for smelling out evil superior to anything in the force.
Oh, yes. The police are always stupid in the kind of books you write, aren't they? They never solve anything. It's always the amateur sleuth who knows what's going on. But that's detective fiction. This is fact. This is real.
I'm well aware of the difference, my dear Milo, but I'm also aware of my own not inconsiderable capabilities. Of course, if you doubt them or don't trust me.
I'm not sure that I do. That's why it's a very difficult decision to make.
Not at all difficult, perfectly simple. You have an expensive woman and no money.
Yeah, but why don't you steal the bloody jewels and simply hand them over to me?
I should have thought that was obvious. The burglary has to look real. This house has actually to be broken into.
Then why don't you break into it?
It's a question of agility, for one thing, dear boy. My little baby, do me a favor, let me handle this. Know what I mean? Crime is my bag. I got this caper all worked out to the last detail.
170,000 pounds.
Cash. Tax-free. Take an awful lot of Tintalini's tonsorial teasing to raise that kind of money.
All right, I'll do it. Where do you want me to break in?
No, not so fast. You've got to get disguised first.
What for?
Well, suppose somebody saw you climbing in.
Here? In the middle of nowhere? I could hardly find this place with a bloody map.
You never know. Dallian couple? A passing sheep rapist? Besides, dear boy, don't forget the clues we've got to leave for the police and the insurance company. We don't want your footsteps in the flower beds. Or your coat button snagged on the windowsill. No. You must be disguised.
All right. How?
Please to follow me, number one son. You know, my dear Milo, in the good old days, before television, that is, people constructed the pleasures of life for themselves. They amused each other and were in turn amused. They just sit and stare. Why, in this house, there was scarcely a weekend without its treasure hunts, charades, games of infinite variety. Make-up and dress-up, there was virtually no end to the concealment of identity. But surely Marguerite has told you.
Actually, she never mentioned it.
It was all some time ago. A few scenes from some of my books, lovingly recreated by an artist friend. The necrophilic barber of Tunbridge Wells, and the doltish pie poisoner from the Simple Simon murders. Oh, here's my favorite. Now, this really is ingenious. Do look.
Andrew,
Now,
we were looking for a disguise.
quite so, dear boy, so we were. Here we are. The old dressing-up basket, our old treasure chest of make-believe. Let's see what we've got. This should suit. Item: 1 black face mask, 1 black flat cap, a striped jersey, and a bag marked swag.
Why not a neon sign with burglar on it?
You may have a point. One of my favorites, the ecclesiastical housebreaker, Brother Lightfingers.
Perhaps we shall never know the identity of the cowled figure seen haunting the grounds of the old manor house on the night of the terrible murder. If living identity it had, and there are those to this day who claim to hear the agonized screams of the victim echoing through the chimney pot.
For Christ's sake, Andrew, stop mucking about. Haven't you just got an old pair of sneakers, a raincoat, and a sock I can pull over my head?
Old pair of sneakers and a sock? Milo, where's your sense of style? We must give our crime the true sparkle of the 30s, a little amateur aristocratic quirkiness. Don't you feel the need to give your old arch enemy, Inspector Plodder of the Yard, a run for his money? Oh, Monsieur Beaucaire, Milo, this is you. A full-bottomed wig, lots of beauty spots, and all the snuff you could want.
Oh, groovy. Look, I might even do the whole thing in drag.
Kiss me, you fool. I can fight it no longer, darling. If you must go, don't look back. Andrew.
Jesus Christ, who's that?
So that's where you've been, Auntie Maud. Naughty girl. Shall we decide on the dress then?
No, I don't like it.
Oh, well, you are a choosy one, aren't you? There doesn't seem to be a very great deal left. We'll just have to settle for Joey.
Joey. Now you're talking. A clown.
Can't you see it all? The sawdust ring, the tinsel, the glitter, the lights.
The elephants, the high wire, the roar of the crowd.
Merry Milo, tickle the kiddies' delight.
Oh, this is all right.
Off with your jacket. That's right, your shirt and your trousers. Oh, we don't want the police to find any fibers from this beautiful cloth. You've no idea how clever they are in those laboratories of theirs. We won't take any risks, you and I. That's right. Down to your smalls, don't be shy. Oh, I know a well-brought-up boy when I see one. Folds his trousers at night, eh?
170,000 pounds. Tax a friend cash. Echo Milo.
Echo le bouton.
Slapshoes. Do you know, I've always wanted a pair of these. Ever since my father took me to the Palladium when I was a kid. I might have got on in show business, you know. You never know. A lot of my friends did. They got to the top, you know how? They danced their way. You know, I guess the vaudeville's loss was hairdressing's gain.
Talking of gain, are we ready?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, your places please for the grand parade. Make way for Cagnolini, the killing's favorite, crazier than Caine, greater than Drac. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the center ring, the king of the clowns, Milo, the merry man
He thinks I'm funny.
Oh, you are funny. Turn it off! Now then, one glass cutter for breaking in with, one piece of putty for holding on to the cut piece of glass so it doesn't clatter to the ground and awake the ravenous Doberman pincher you suspect lurks inside, and one stethoscope.
Stethoscope?
Safe breakers for the use of. The theory is you tried to pick the lock of the safe by listening to the tumblers, you failed and had to resort to dynamite.
Dynamite, what for?
Safes for the blowing open of. But you can leave all that to me. Now, how about a bizarre touch? Perhaps a tear-drenched pom-pom impaled upon a splinter of glass.
Why not take a full-page ad in the Times and sell tickets for the cops to come and watch? Pom-poms.
Well, I was only trying to lighten Inspector Plodder's day for him, but if you don't like
There
it,
is no such animal as Inspector Plodder outside your detective stories. It'll probably be some sharp-eyed bloke who knows his job down to the last detail. You can bet about $1 on that. And I can't move in this outfit. These bloody boots are ridiculous.
But you love them so. Do keep them on. Can't you see the headlines? Wiltshire paralyzed, police baffled. Where will Big Boot strike next?
Right in the arse. That's where. Mine.
All those boots will tell the police is that a true professional, realizing that the flower beds would carry footprints, decided to disguise his own. Now, do come along. Now, have you got everything? Now, a glass cutter, putty,
Yes,
and the stethoscope.
I've got everything.
Oh, Milo, you are marvelous. You are the complete clown.
Thank you.
Very clever. Now, come along with me and listen carefully.
Go round the house to your left and cross the lawn diagonally. In the far corner, you'll find a shed. In the shed, you'll find a ladder. Bring it back here and lean it up against the great window in the main room so that you can break in on the upper landing. Understanding?
Upper landing? I suppose you couldn't come and hold the ladder steady for me, could you?
Certainly not. I don't want my footprints on the flower beds.
I'm not very good at heights.
Well, don't look down. Concentrate instead on thick bundles of crisp pound notes, 170,000 of them in cash, tax-free. Good luck, partner. Don't forget your gloves.
What a way to make a living.
Puss. Did you hear a noise, Puss? Was that a footstep in the garden? No, I must be mistaken. There it is again. What was that? Someone outside, prowling around the grounds. I'm certain of it. Now, we mustn't imagine things. Who would harm a kindly old spinster like me? The front door's locked, and the windows too. Hey, no one could possibly break into our snug little home.
For Christ's sake, Milo, they couldn't have made more noise on D-Day.
The bloody glass came out, my bloody boot got stuck, and I fell down a bloody ladder.
Well, the bloody police must have heard it all the way to bloody Salisbury.
I'm sorry.
Somehow I thought you'd be better than that at climbing ladders.
Now for the jewels.
Oh, not straight away. You're not supposed to know where they are. You have to hunt about a bit first. Disturb a few things, if you'll be good enough to follow me, Miss Rebecca.
A turnstile to the bedrooms.
One way or another, one always pays to get in. The mistress's bedroom. Or would you know your way about?
The mistress or her bedroom?
It's irrelevant. Now, Milo, where to begin? The bottom drawer, the trousseau drawer? The frillies. Take them out. Vandalize them. Come on, Milo. You're a burglar, not a lady's maid. Don't pack them. Ravage them. Come on, Milo. Oh, excellent. Now tear that. That's better. Now, where would milady hide the trophies of her skilled accomplishments? Her rubies, emeralds, diamonds, sapphires, interleaved among her lace-edged underclothes, stuffed into the false bottoms of hat boxes, sewn into the hems of always the latest had-to-have, at once discarded Parisian dresses, or perhaps secretly concealed in the back of this. What better safe deposit for deceit, How often is it reflected the bright eyes that betrayed, the mouth that lied and kissed and lied again?
I thought it was me who was supposed to be doing the ravaging.
So it was. Merely demonstrating I was. Be a good fellow. Stamp on that, will you?
Why me?
I'm afraid if I broke it, I'd get 7 more years of Marguerite. Thank you.
Now, where's your bedroom?
Mine?
It's my turn to demonstrate.
Oh, my dear Milo, but having failed to find the jewels among the lady's personal possessions...
Be a bit suspicious. A professional burglar playing favorites.
No, on the contrary, an intelligent burglar would immediately look for the next most likely hiding place.
Which is where?
The inevitable safe. Just blow it open and steal what's in it. Come on, Milo!
Right.
What kind of charge you got here?
Oh, enough for the job. I learned about explosives for the diary of the dynamited Duchess. Ready? Stand by for the countdown. 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, a 1, a blast off.
Got it. I've got it.
What are you shaking it for? It's a jewel box, not a maraca.
I thought it might have a secret catch. It's locked, you see.
Well, smash it open! Jesus, you have all the killer instinct of a 20-year-old Celium.
Yeah, but it's a very pretty box. It seems such a waste.
roses looks upon the promised land.
They're fantastic. Look at this ruby necklace.
Never much cared for it myself. Always thought it made Marguerite look like a blood sacrifice.
I wish my old man could see these. He never knew what it was all about. Sitting there every night, hunched over those watches of his, squinting his eyesight away. And for what? To give me an education at a second-rate public school. I suppose he thought he had to. That he owed it to me and the brand new Anglo-Saxon world he'd adopted. Silly old bugger.
Never thought his son would be tucking a fortune away into his pocket, eh? Family reminiscence, no matter how touching, is something we just haven't got time for at the moment. Do you mind? Now, this is the fun bit, where the householder, wrenched from his dreams by the sound of the explosion, surprises the burglar, and in the ensuing fight, the house is sacked.
Why is it necessary for you to surprise me at all?
Because if I've seen you at close quarters, I can always describe you to the police. Wrongly. Did you get a good look at the intruder's face, sir? Yes, Inspector, I did. I don't know if it was a trick of the light, but somehow his face seemed not wholly human.
How much sacking do you want done?
A decent bit, I think. A few chairs upturned, ornaments put to the sword, that sort of thing. You know, convincing, but not Carthaginian. You surely don't call that convincing. My, no. Let literature fly to the four winds. Let the contents of doors be strewn like autumn leaves. Hey, that's my new manuscript. Let my secretary sort it out.
Enough?
For a starter. Now let's see what accident does to artifice. Seconds out of the ring.
What seconds? What for?
The ensuing fight, remember?
Hey!
Well, you're the underdog, aren't you? You've got the support of the crowd, haven't you? What more do you want?
Right, bastard, this.
Don't let me out! My wife's gonna have a baby. Now listen, Tiger, don't get all head up. This fight's fixed, remember? This is where I take a dive, and you knock me out cold!
For real?
Yes, naturally. When the police come, I have to show them a real lump. Yes, I thought you'd like this bit.
You're dead right. Now, what shall I use?
Not my opaline, if you don't mind.
There it is. The original blunt instrument. The poker. Right.
Nice, lady.
Now, where do you want it?
Don't get carried away. It's not a murder weapon you were talking about, you know.
No?
No, we're discussing an object from which I receive in the classic formula a glancing blow which will raise a lump without actually cracking the cranium.
Why don't I just keep tapping you lightly on the head with the poker until the lump comes up?
Quite frankly, I'd rather go off the whole thing now. I know you can always tie me up and gag me and leave me to be found by the cleaning woman. Lots of mercy, Mr. White. Whatever do we be doing there? All trussed up like a turkey cock. Oh, God bless you, sir. You're trying out something for one of them creepy new books of yours. I know that. Don't you mind me. I won't disturb you. I'll just be getting on with me dusting.
Andrew, if I don't knock you out, how have I tied you up?
That's a very good question. Come to think of it, you could always hold a gun on me.
Oh, we professional burglars don't fancy firearms much. We are English, after all.
You could always conquer your Anglo-Saxon scruples. Besides, it would be my own revolver which you had taken from me during the struggle.
Is that loaded?
Well, of course. What would be the use of it otherwise? And I think it ought to go off once or twice as we tussle, blowing to smithereens the usual priceless heirlooms.
Why?
To lend credence to my story of your holding it on me while you gagged me and tied me up. All right?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Right, now, what to sacrifice?
What about this old codger up here?
Put that down at once. That's my Edgar Allan Poe Award, given me by the Mystery Writers of America for one of Merridew's greatest triumphs, the slaying of Jack Sprat. Ironically enough, for one who could eat no fat, he was murdered by an injection of concentrated cholesterol. Now, what do you say to the demolition of that gaudy old Swansea puzzle jug?
Puzzle jug?
To solve the puzzle, pour some water out of it.
Very funny.
Marguerite thought it clever. She ought to tell you something about Marguerite. Let us expose its shortcomings. Well, you might have said good shot.
You bloody maniac! You could have killed me!
Tush! Not dead-eyed Wyke, the demon gunman of Cloak Manor. Now, what next? Ah, the last tender memento of our Venetian honeymoon. I will not resist the temptation. Shucks, gosh darn, if I ain't missed the doggone critter.
You hit what you're aiming for, all right.
Now, don't be peevish, Milo. There's nothing like a little bit of mayhem to cheer one up. Did you ever know Charlie Begbie?
You know damn well I didn't.
He was the very finest shot I ever did see. I once saw him bag 6 ducks with 1 shot when he was blind drunk. The only thing was, there were china ducks in his auntie's drawing room, and I said, but Charlie, you can't do that. It's the closed season. Told you always laughs at my jokes.
Even the bad ones.
True, not as funny as all that. There's an open season all the year round for some creatures, seducers and wife-stealers, for example.
Now, that's a bad Italian joke.
You should know it's your country of origin, is it not?
No, actually, I'm English. I was born here, in England.
Where are you now? Actually. What in dear old cradle of the parliamentary system, whose screws my wife merits a large pink gin, England?
Sense of humour, fair play, England, I mean.
Oh, don't you believe it? That's the way a foreigner talks. What he really thinks in private is filthy, wet country, ugly, red, cold men who don't know how to treat their pale, pink, cool women.
Well, what brought all this on, then? What are you doing with that gun?
Pretty obviously pointing it at you.
I can see that, but why?
Because I'm a-gonna kill you.
You are going to kill me? Jesus! Here we go again with another one of your games.
Another one? No. It's the same one. We've been playing it all the evening. It's called You're Going to Die and No One Will Suspect Murder.
You mean all that steal the jewel stuff was just...
I invited you around here to set up the circumstances of your own death. The break-in, the disguise, jewels in your pocket, the householder aroused, grappled with the thief, and gun going off during the struggle, and then the final fatal shot.
Knock it off, Andrew. For God's sake. It ain't funny no more.
It ain't it? Can you find a flaw in it?
Marguerite. Huh? The cops will trace a connection between Marguerite and me.
What nonsense.
They'll know that's why you did it.
I was expected to know who you were. The law will have every sympathy for me. Property has always been more highly regarded in England than people. Even Marguerite will assume that you were, after all, just an adventurer after her jewels, a petty sneak thief, who in the end found larceny less burdensome than matrimony.
Yes, the way you're finding murder less burdensome than alimony.
Ha! Wit in the face of adversity. Good! You've learned something from the English. Well, here's something else, a sporting chance. Why don't you make a run for it?
And give you the chance to shoot me down in cold blood?
Hot blood, you mean? But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll close my eyes and count up to 20 slowly. That should give you a reasonable chance. Go on, Milo, off you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 19, and 20. You left them in that beautiful coat. Oh, my God. Let's have you out of that car, shall we? Those lovely boots back on again, please. Now, of course, the only question left to be decided is where the police shall find you. Of course, you could be lying sprawled over the desk in the study, like countless colonels in countless studies, or propped up in the log basket like a rag doll. Which do you fancy, early Agatha Christie or vintage SS Van Dyne?
For Christ's sake, Andrew, you're talking of a murder. Of killing a real man, don't you understand?
I shouldn't use a gun at all. Perhaps best of all, a real 1930s murder weapon, the Vasher Niblick. I've got one in my golf bag. Dear old Vasher Niblick. I think you'd be found in the fireplace in a fair old mess. The body lay on its back, its limbs grotesquely splayed like a broken puppet. The whole head had been pulped as if by some supernatural force. My God, breathed the Inspector Blanching. Thompson, you'd better get a tarpaulin. Excuse me, sir, but was all this violence strictly necessary? I'm sorry, Inspector. I'm afraid I lost control of myself when I saw him handling my wife's intimate garments. Oh, it's too bloody elaborate. I tell you what, I think the scene the police find is simply this. After the fight, you flee up the stairs back to your ladder again. Go on, Milo, flee. Up we go. Up we go. Catch you on the landing, and in the renewed struggle, I shoot you. Nothing succeeds like simplicity. Don't you agree, Milo? On the morning of his execution, King Charles I put on 2 shirts. If I tremble with the cold, he said, my enemies will say it was from fear. I will not expose myself to such reproaches. You must also attempt this Anglo-Saxon dignity as you mount the steps to the scaffold.
Look, I can't give anything back, can I? I mean, if it hadn't been me, it would have been somebody else. Please, I'll go away. You won't never hear of me no more. Why, Andrew? Why me?
Don't snivel.
I must know why!
I'm amazed you have to ask. I hate you. I hate your smarmy good looks and your easy manner. I'll bet you're easy in a ski lodge, easy on a yacht, easy on a beach. I knew you'd wear a gold charm round your neck. And I'll bet your chest is hairy and in summer matted with sun oil. Above all, I hate you because you're a culling, blue-eyed wop. And not one of me. A creeping, hair-dressing seducer of silly women. A jumped-up pantry boy who doesn't know his place. Did you really believe I'd give up my wife and jewelry to you. That I'd make myself that ridiculous?
Why not? You're not in love with her?
Whether I love her or not, I found her. I've kept her. She represents me. Once, she was in love with me.
And now she's in love with me. And that's what you can't forgive, isn't it? And after me, there'll be others. You're gonna kill them too? You're mad! You're not bloody mad, man!
You are a young man, dressed as a clown, about to be murdered. Put the mask on, Mario.
No.
Put it on.
No, please. Please.
Put it on. Finally, at your moment of dying, you are yourself. A sniveling, dago clown. Farewell, Punchinello.
Goodbye now and amen. Here's hoping we meet now and then. It was great fun, but it was just one of those things. Something that simply mystifies me. Tell me, why should it be you have the power to hypnotize me? Let me beneath your spell. Do that voodoo that you do so well, for you do something to me that nobody else could do. stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now heaven knows anything goes. Good authors too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words, writing prose. Anything goes. The world has gone mad today, and good's bad today, and black's white today, and day's night today, when most guys today that women prize today are just silly gigolos. So though I'm not a great romancer, I know that you're bound to answer when I propose. Anything goes. The world has gone mad today, and good's bad today, and black's white today, and day's night today, when most guys today that women prize today are just silly gigolos. So though I'm not a great romancer, I know that you're bound to answer when I propose. Anything goes.
Good evening, sir. I was beginning to think there was no one at home.
Dean? And who might you be?
Detective Inspector Doppler, sir, of the Wiltshire County Constabulary. I'm sorry to be calling so late, but I need to have a few words with you on a very important matter.
Better come in. Wiltshire County Constabulary, you say?
That's right, sir. I'm normally based in Salisbury, but you're a local man here asked me to pop over and give him a hand. Those were the days, sir. Tunes you could hum.
There's a time for humming, Inspector. Would you care for an aquavit?
No, thank you, sir. I've had my supper.
Perhaps you prefer a brandy, or are you going to tell me you never drink on duty?
Oh, no, sir. I always drink on duty. I can't afford to in my own time. Caviar. So that's what that looks like. I've often wondered. Can't say I care for it all that much, sir. Tastes like fish eggs.
Fancy. Now let me take that nasty taste away with a splendid brandy. Do follow me, won't you, Inspector?
These old antiques, sir. Very interesting, sir. You have quite a collection of toys.
Automata, Inspector. And they all work.
I wouldn't have thought there's much point in having them if they didn't, sir.
And now, as the cliche has it, what can I do for you, Inspector?
I am investigating the disappearance of a Mr. Milo Tyndall. Do you know him, sir?
Vaguely.
He walked out of his cottage late last Friday afternoon and hasn't been seen since.
Really, I'm afraid I'm not very much interested in the migratory habits of hairdressers.
So you do know the gentleman then, sir?
Well, I know his profession. I think my wife has mentioned he had a shop in London.
When did you last see Mr. Tyndall, sir?
Some months ago. I wouldn't remember exactly. I'd have no reason to, really.
That doesn't quite accord with our information. I wonder if you could put some water in this brandy for me, please, sir. In fact, 2 nights ago, he told Jack Ben, the licensee of the White Lion, he was on his way up to see you.
Barmen are notorious opponents of exactitude, Inspector. Finest gossip is their stock in trade.
Vinous as pertaining to wine, I assume, sir.
Very good.
Then I was wondering if there was something else you could correct for me, sir.
What is that?
The impression gained by a man who happened to be passing your house on Friday night that shots were fired in here.
Shots.
3, our man thinks.
Car backfiring.
Oh, no, sir. I'm afraid that sort of occurrence only comes in saving your presence, detective stories. No, these were shots from a gun. Our man is positive.
I see. May I ask why you've taken 2 days to come round and ask me about all this?
Well, sir, these things always take a little longer to check out than you think. And your local man want to be sure of his facts before calling me in and before troubling a gentleman like yourself.
Facts? What facts?
Well, after our informant had reported the incident, we thought we'd better have a word with Mr. Tyndall, see if he could throw any light on the subject.
And could he, the way to turn that off is to press that stop in, Inspector.
Oh, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
He wasn't at his cottage all day Saturday, nor all day today. We must have called there at least half a dozen times.
By Jove, sir, Merridew would have been proud of you.
Ah, you're a detective, sir. Oh, that's praise indeed, sir. I'm a great fan of his lordship.
Are you really? Well, you must tell me which is your favorite. I myself have always had a special affection for the case of the crucified
When
countess.
we stepped inside Mr. Tyndall's cottage to make sure that no harm had come to him, we found this, sir. Urgent, we talk. Come on Friday evening, about 6:30, Wyke. May I ask, is this your handwriting, sir?
Yes, it's mine, all right.
So Mr. Tyndall was here then, sir?
He was.
And was there an incident 2 nights ago as a result of which shots were fired?
In a manner of speaking, it was a game we were playing.
Game, sir? What kind of game?
It's called burglary.
Burglary is not a game, sir.
Isn't it about time you told me I don't know the seriousness of my position?
A man comes here, shots are heard, he has disappeared. Now, what would you make out of that if you were me, sir?
An open and shut case, but things are not always what they seem, Inspector. Why, in the mystery of the drowned dummy, your favorite Lord Merridew...
Yeah, I am waiting for an explanation, sir.
Oh. Well, Tyndall arrived about 6:30 and left about an hour and a half later. I have not seen him since.
And nor has anyone else, sir.
Oh, but this is absurd. You're not suggesting I kill Tyndall?
Kill Tyndall, sir? I never mentioned the word kill.
Oh, come now, Inspector. You can't pull that old one on me. Garrotted, sir. May I ask how you knew her ladyship had been garrotted? Oh, but surely you told me so, Inspector. No, sir. I never mentioned the word garrotted.
I'm sorry you find us so comic, sir. On the whole, what we do is necessary.
You're just doing your job is the overworked phrase, isn't it?
Possibly, sir. Very possibly the overworked phrase, that is, yes. Your wife and Mr. Tyndall have been associating closely for some time, sir.
Yes, I thought you'd know about that. You can't keep anything quiet in a small village.
Perfectly true, sir.
Oh, you're not suggesting a clean passionnel, I do hope, not with Marguerite. Oh, God. That'd be like knifing somebody for the sake of a tablespoonful of cold rice pudding.
I'm very partial to rice pudding, sir. I find it a great standby.
That's perfect. All of you had either the means, motive, or opportunity, said Inspector Doppler, as he thoughtfully digested another spoonful of his favorite pud, but only one of you had all three.
Exactly so, sir. And that person is you.
Right. Oh, I suppose I better tell you what happened.
That would be helpful, sir.
Perhaps another drink would be helpful, too.
I'd love another drink, sir, but I think you'll find that the bottle is empty.
Quite right, Inspector. That, too, can be corrected. Do come with me, won't you? As you seem to know, Tyndall was having an affair with my wife. Now, I belong to that rare breed of men who genuinely don't mind losing gracefully to a gentleman who plays the game by the same rules. But to be worsted by a flash, crypto-Italian lover boy who mistakes my indifference for inadequacy is altogether too much.
You mean you couldn't bring yourself to accept the situation, sir? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it was a situation I refused to accept, Inspector.
Playing the game is very important to you, is it, sir?
Playing the game and games playing, yes, Inspector.
Oh, I'm not quite sure I see the difference, sir.
Oh, it's perfectly simple, Inspector. Playing the game is what every gentleman does. The playing of particular games is my special passion. In a way, my whole life.
That sounds a bit sad to me, sir. Like a child not growing up.
What's so sad about a child playing, yes, Inspector?
Oh, nothing, sir. If you're a child.
Oh, let me tell you, Inspector, I have played games of such complexity that Jung and Einstein would have been proud to have been asked to participate in them. I have achieved flights of the mind and flights of the psyche, unknown in ordinary human relationships, and I've had a very great deal of not altogether innocent fun.
Is there nothing you would not consider a gain, sir? Duty, work, even marriage?
Oh, please, Inspector, don't include marriage. Sex! Sex is the game. Marriage the penalty. Round and round we jog towards each futile anniversary. Pass, go. Collect 200 rows, 200 silences, 200 scars in the deep places.
Are you saying, sir, that because of your indifference to your wife, you had no motive for murdering Mr. Tyndall?
I'm simply saying, Inspector, that in common with most men, I want to have my cookie and ignore it. It's rather witty, I thought.
And what have we here, sir?
It's just an old dressing up basket, that's all.
A traditional place of concealment.
I'm sure you'll agree.
Only of the identity, Inspector. In a game. Shall we go? Shall we go?
Oh, yes, sir. Coming.
Anyway, I thought I'd teach young Master Tyndall a lesson for his presumption. Test his mettle, as it were. You may not agree with this, Inspector, but you take it from me. The shortest way to a man's heart is through humiliation. You soon find out what he's made of.
Oh, and how did you plan to go about this humiliation, sir?
To begin with, by convincing him that as my wife had expensive tastes and he was virtually a pauper, he could solve that problem by stealing some valuable jewelry which I had in my safe. I further persuaded him to take off his clothes and wear a disguise. Appropriately enough, he chose, out of that basket you examined, the costume of a clown. In that ludicrous outfit, he broke into the house and blew open my safe. The jewels are in this box. Good thinking, Inspector. Bravo.
And where are they now, sir?
I put them in the bank yesterday.
On a Saturday?
Yes, Inspector, on a Saturday. I drove over to Salisbury and I put them in the night safe.
How very provident, sir. May I ask what you did after you blew the safe open, sir?
Tyndall pocketed the jewels. We struggled convincingly around the house as part of the game, and he was about to make off when I turned nasty and revealed the true purpose of the evening. This was, of course, that I had maneuvered him into a position where, by pretending to mistake him for a burglar, I could legitimately shoot him.
When you revealed your intention, sir, what was Mr. Tyndall's reaction?
Electrifying! He swallowed my story hook, line, and sinker. He fell to his knees, pleaded for his life. But I was implacable. I put the gun against his head and shot him with a blank cartridge.
You shot Mr. Tyndall with a blank cartridge, sir?
Fainted dead away. My game was over. It was the most gratifying win.
You actually put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger as a game?
Call it his initiation test, if you like. He came here aping the gentry, hoping for acceptance, but he had to be taught. You don't join just like that. Such a thing as breeding. Quality that breeding brings cannot be acquired. Of course, he failed his test abysmally.
He may well have done, sir. But he also must have been put in fear of his life. Such irresponsible action warrants a serious charge of assault.
I suppose that's marginally better than the charge of murder you were contemplating a few minutes ago.
I still am contemplating it, sir.
Oh, come now, Inspector. I told you what happened. After a few minutes, he came to his senses, realized shrewdly that he wasn't dead after all, and after only a few too many brandies, lurched off home.
I'm sorry you appear to find this all quite so funny, Mr. White. We may not take quite the same attitude.
No, Look here! Why can't you see this from my point of view? In a sense, Tyndall was a burglar. He was stealing my wife, wasn't he?
Which justified your torturing and then murdering him, sir?
Of course not. Don't you see? It was a game. Just a bloody game.
Bloody indeed, sir.
I achieved what I set out to do, and that was all.
You may well have achieved murder, sir.
No.
I believe so, sir.
No, I've told you everything that happened.
Would you mind if I had a look round, sir?
Crawl about on all fours, if you like. Get out your envelope and imprison hares. Gather ye blunt instruments while you may. Now, I ask myself, if I wanted to conceal Tyndall's body, where would I put it? In my good friend, Jolly Jack Tar the sailor.
Very amusing, sir. May I ask how you did that?
No. Jolly Jack and I have our little secret.
Then may I ask how you made those holes in the wall? That one over there, and this one over here. They look like bullet holes to me, sir.
Quite right, Inspector. So they are.
Oh, I understood you, sir, to say that you used a blank.
2 live bullets to set up the trick, and 1 blank to complete it. I had to persuade Tyndall I was in earnest.
Oh, I see, sir. 1 blank. Then would you just show me, please, sir, where Mr. Tyndall was when you killed him?
Pretended to kill him, you mean?
Quite so. Then would you show me exactly where he was when the bullet hit him?
I keep telling you it was not a real bullet.
So you do, sir. So you do. Very well, then. Where was he when the blank cartridge was fired?
He was standing, or I should say kneeling, or more accurately, cowering here.
About here, you say, sir?
2 steps up. That's it.
Were you close to Mr. Tyndall when you fired the gun?
Oh, very. I was standing over it, in fact, with the gun against his head. You see, it was the actual feel of the gun, coupled with the noise of the explosion, that did the trick. The traditional tool of your trade, Inspector?
Joke blood, sir?
Don't think I quite follow, Inspector.
Here, on the banisters and underneath the carpet. It's dried blood, sir.
Blood? Where?
Don't touch it. That's dried blood, all right. Some more over here. Someone's been rubbing the carpet. See that? Deep in the pile. That's blood, sir. It's still damp. Will you explain to me how that got there?
I've no idea. Tyndall wasn't wounded, hurt in any way. You must believe me.
With real bullets and real blood. Isn't it about time we stopped talking about games, sir?
Look at the window. There, you can see the pane of glass he cut out in order to break in, and down there, the imprint of the ladder in the flower bed, and the size 28 boots or whatever the hell it was he was wearing. Look, I can show you.
Over the years, my eyes have been adequately trained to see things for themselves, sir.
I'm sure they have, Inspector. I'm just trying to point out a few facts to substantiate my story. Like the blown safe I showed you in the study, and like the dressing up basket you found in the cellar.
You say that Mr. Tyndall disguised himself as a clown. I saw no such costume in that basket. Nor have you pointed out that mound of earth in the garden, have you, sir?
Mound of earth? What mound of earth?
That one over by the far wall, in the shade of that cedar tree.
I can't see anything.
Well, it's there, all right. I saw it before I rang your bell. I think we'd better go and have a look at it. Together, sir. Here we are, sir. Now, would you say that had been freshly dug, sir?
How do I know? Probably something the gardener's been doing. Ask him. You'll find him somewhere, maundering about, aching for an opportunity to slander his employer. They all do.
Oh, for my part, I've always found that gardeners make excellent witnesses. They're slow, they're methodical, and they're positive.
Inspector, I've had just about enough of this farce. Do you really think I'd be fool enough to bury Tyndall out here in the garden, leaving all that newly turned earth for everyone to find?
If you weren't expecting it, sir, yes. In a couple of weeks, with a little grass seed or a few bulbs, it'd be very difficult to tell it had ever been disturbed. We in the police force know just how fond murderers are of their back garden, sir.
One's as near a murderer's heart in a garden as anywhere else on earth, Inspector?
Excepting the bedroom, sir. I think you'll find that's still the favorite. There's no mistaking whose room this is, eh, sir?
My wife showers. I bathe.
Clothing all screwed up on the floor of the wardrobe. That's not like you, sir. Oh, here's an interesting monogram. I.W. Or have I got this the wrong way up? Ham. M.T.
Let me see that.
Made by Owen and Tancredi of Percy Street for Mr. Milo Tyndall, November 12th. Tell me, sir, when Mr. Tyndall lurched off, as you put it, did he lurch naked? And did he subsequently lurch naked through the streets of the village?
He changed back before he left into these clothes.
Do you still maintain, sir, that Mr. Tyndall changed into the clown's costume in the cellar?
Yes!
Another part of the humiliation process, I suppose. Then someone must have carried his clothing up from the cellar and placed them in this wardrobe.
I did.
Why?
Because I thought they'd be better off in a wardrobe than a dusty old cellar, more convenient.
all screwed up on the floor of a wardrobe. Why?
I think it will be long before he'll be changing back. It's all so baffling.
Not at all, sir. You threw those clothes on the floor of the wardrobe because you knew that Mr. Tyndall would not be needing them again. Ever. That's right, sir, isn't it?
He changed back before he left and wore them when he went away.
I think you started this exactly as you say you did. As a game in order to play a diabolical trick on Mr. Tyndall, but that it went wrong. Your third shot was not a blank as you had supposed, but a live bullet that killed Mr. Tyndall stone dead, spattering blood on the banisters in the process. Then, when you realized what you'd done, you simply panicked like 1,000 murders before you and buried the corpse in the garden. It was very silly of you not to clean the blood properly off the banisters and burn his clothes.
I swear Tyndall left here alive.
At the risk of appearing facetious, sir, you had better tell that to the judge.
Look, there's only one way of dealing with this. If you think Tyndall's out in the garden, for Christ's sake, why don't you go and dig him up?
Oh, we don't need to find him, sir. If Mr. Tyndall is not beneath that newly turned earth, it will merely go to indicate that in your panic, you first thought of putting him there, changed your mind, and buried him somewhere else.
Where?
Oh, that's not important, sir. He'll turn up sooner or later, and if he doesn't, it scarcely matters. We have your note summoning Mr. Tyndall here. Shots were heard, bullet holes made, blood is on the banisters and the carpet. His clothes were hidden in your wardrobe, and he has disappeared. Who needs a body? Sir? Come along, then. It's time to go, sir.
No, for Christ, I can't believe
I'm afraid, sir, that I must insist. There is a police car at the end of the drive.
I don't care. Got a fleet of police cars. No bloody well going.
Now, let's have no trouble, sir. Please don't make it difficult.
Christ, you're hurting my arm.
You give me no alternative, sir.
I feel just quiet. Go and get a lawyer. It's my right.
We can make a call from the police station. We wouldn't want to do anything unconstitutional.
No.
Come now, sir. Don't despair. You may get off with as little as 7 years.
7 years?
7 years to regret the playing of silly games that go wrong.
Spare me the 7 if you don't mind. It didn't go wrong. It all went bloody well right.
You think so, do you, sir? We real-life policemen are not as stupid as we are sometimes portrayed by writers like yourself. We may not have our monocles, or our orchid houses, our deerstalkers, or our shovel hats, but we are reasonably effective for all that, sir.
You seem to know a hell of a lot about detective stories, Inspector.
Yes, I have read quite a few in my time, sir. And in recent years, I have come to believe that the detective story is the normal recreation of noble minds, sir.
Oh, what the hell are you?
Detective Inspector Doppler, sir. It is spelt like doppel, which, as I'm sure you know, means double in German. And for those whose minds run to these things, it is virtually an anagram of the word plotter. So, Inspector Plotter becomes Inspector Doppler. If you see what I mean. Sir.
I know.
The same.
You shit.
Grazie mille,
You all-time knockdown champion bastard, Milo.
You're too kind.
I'm not saying it wasn't well done. It was extremely. It was brilliant. Incidentally, you forgot to take out your left eye.
Now he knows I'm funny. Do have a drink, Milo.
I'm sorry, do help yourself.
No, I'll have a wash first. I'm covered in makeup and spirit gum.
Laurence, use the kitchen.
No, I prefer the master bathroom. You're in very good health, sir.
Must say, I must congratulate you, Milo. First class. You sure had me going there for a while.
For a while.
Well, it was quite a while, I concede. But I got a bit suspicious towards the end, you know. You did go on a bit, I thought. What did you think of my performance? The anguish of the innocent man trapped by circumstantial evidence.
It wasn't a performance.
Of course it was. Had to be convincing. Apparently, I succeeded.
You just don't know how to lose at all, do you, Andrew? All that crap you gave old Doppler about the gentry losing gracefully.
Jesus.
Well, I told you, you did well. It was really good. I loved your Inspector Doppler.
I'm glad you view the trifling masquerade in that light, sir.
Your makeup was damn good. First class. You didn't do that yourself, did you?
I am a hairdresser, don't forget. I do have friends in the arts.
I suppose you slipped in here yesterday while I was in Salisbury.
Yes.
Dumped your clothes into my wardrobe and sprinkled a little sacrificial blood onto the banisters.
It wasn't my blood. I know you'll be relieved to hear. I got it from a pig's liver.
Thought you could have used almost any Dago wine.
Oh, I'll have that drink now.
Of course.
Gin and tonic, I think.
You richly deserve it, my dear fella. Come along.
You know, I haven't congratulated you yet on your game.
Oh,
It was jolly good.
you really think so? Good. Must say I was rather delighted with it myself. I say, did you really think your last moment on Earth had come?
Yes.
You're not cross, are you?
Cross. I don't understand. That's one of your words.
Look, as I explained to you when you were playing Doppler, I had to test your mettle to see if, as I suspected, you really were my sort of person.
A games-playing sort of person?
Exactly.
And am I?
There's no question about it. Compare your experience this weekend, my dear Milo, with any other moment in your life. Now, if you're honest with yourself, you'll have to admit that you lived more intensely in my company than in anybody else's. Now, even with Marguerite, now, we know what it is to play a game. You and I. That's so rare. Two people brought together, equally matched, having the courage and the talents to make of life a continuing charade of bright fancy, happy invention, to face out its emptiness and its terrors by playing, by just playing.
Haven't you forgotten the jumped-up pantry boy who doesn't know his place? We are from different worlds, you and me, Andrew. In mine,
There was no time for bright fancies and happy inventions. No stopping for tea. The only game we played was to survive or go to the wall. If you didn't win, you just didn't finish. Loser, lose all. You probably don't understand that.
Understand or not, nothing you've said disproves my point. Look at the way you chose to get back at me, by playing Inspector Doppler.
Simple revenge. Paying back in kind. Every wop knows about that.
Well, is honor satisfied? Score even? One set all?
Honor? That's another one of your words. I know that you stripped me more than naked. I know that you actually terrified me to death. I stood on those stairs, looking down and realizing that my coat sleeve button, the banister, the nail on my fourth finger were absolutely the last things I was going to see, ever. Then, I heard the sound of my own death. Now, that changes you, Andrew. Believe me. And I still owe you for that.
It'll pass its shock, my dear fellow. Here, let me give you
I don't want an even score. And don't you give me any of that one set all the games that think it's enough to take part crap. My father just took part. And his father. And his father. Losers. As far back as you can go. Well, it stops with me. With me, the titles start winning. And others start losing. You, for example.
Me? Lose what?
A new game. My kind, my rules, played my way. And to start it, I have killed someone.
You've killed someone?
Murdered someone. Committed murder.
You're not serious.
Deadly. It's a real game and a real murder. There's absolutely no point in playing another pretend game. Isn't that right?
Absolutely not.
We're past pretending now. We leave that to the amateurs. The gentlemen players like you.
Look, Milo, I think perhaps another time...
It can't wait!
All right, all right. We'll play your game. Now, whom did you kill?
Whom? Whom? Who besides yourself is the closest to being someone you care about? Would it be your girlfriend, Thea?
Possibly. Why?
She's the one.
You killed Thea?
She whose cobalt eyes were the secret forest pools of Finlandia. I closed them.
You?
Yes, I strangled her. Right over there, on that rug, I strangled her. And, oh yes, I screwed her first.
You raped and strangled?
No, not rape. She wanted it.
You're lying. You can't take me with a crude game like this. Honestly, Milo, I gave you credit for better sport.
When I was here yesterday planting the blood and clothes for old Doppler, Thea showed up looking for you. So I pitched her a little woo, as you would have said in your day, and we danced cheek to cheek to those cornball big band oldies of yours. I mean, who but you would have them? Anyway, it worked. She got itchy, and I had to scratch, didn't I? And afterwards, she got sleepy. And that's when I did it, old boy. I wrung her neck. She was under that freshly dug mound of earth that old Doppler took such a fancy to.
Was? You mean she's not now?
No, I moved her.
Where to? The flooded gravel pit? Fu Manchu's abandoned glue factory?
It doesn't matter where to. The police will find her in due course if they haven't found her already.
The police?
Yes, I phoned them about an hour ago,
and ask them to meet me here at 10 o'clock. They should arrive in about 15 minutes.
I'm sure they will, too. Led, no doubt, by intrepid Downy Inspector Doppler.
No, it'll be a real cop, all right. Detective Sergeant Tarrant is his name. Check it, if you like. I told him a lot about you, Andrew. I said I knew you to be a man obsessed with games playing and murder considered as a fine art. Your life's great ambition, I said, of which you had often spoken, was to commit an actual real-life murder, hide the body, then leave clues linking you with the crimes scattered about the house, convinced that the poor, simple-minded police would never recognize them for what they were.
Please, sir, Andrew White can't rest until he's committed a real murder, which is going to make fools out of all you coppers. Honestly. Tell that to the average desk sergeant and you'll find yourself strapped straight into the giggle jacket.
Not so, in fact. I told them that if they didn't believe me, one look at your books and the furnishings of your house would confirm what I said about your obsessions.
What?
I also told them that 2 days ago, your girlfriend came to my house in great distress, saying that you suspected her of having affairs with other men and threatened to kill her.
I bet they believed every word of that.
In the end, yes, they did.
My dear boy. I do appreciate that in spite of your denials, you've been captivated by the spirit of games playing and the need, as you see it, to win at any cost. But frankly, you are trying too hard to be a big boy too soon. Hello? Hello, Joyce. Ha! It's Andrew. Can I speak to Taylor? She... What? She's been strangled. Where is this? When was it? Where was she found? What? Joyce, I can't understand what you... Look, Drew tried to control you. What? The police... Ask... Oh, my... God.
You should have believed me. Now, we're going to play the game. In a little over 13 minutes, the law will arrive. It's going to be your giant brain against their plodding ones. Concealed about this room are 4 clues incriminating you as Taya's murderer, including, as a final expression of your contempt for the police, the murder weapon itself. Now, are you ready?
Can't make a game out of real murder.
We'll see. Now remember, 4 objects. Those that you don't find, be sure the police will. And they are all in plain view. And the first object is a crystal bracelet.
Not the one.
Yes. I tore it off her wrist. It's inscribed.
All right. I know how it's inscribed.
Would you like some help?
Yes, damn you!
So soon? Now, where's my list?
God.
Here it is. For any man with half an eye, what stands before him he may spy, but optics sharp it needs and keen to see what is not to be seen.
You said everything was in plain view.
Well, aren't I the shifty old sly boots then?
You're not giving me anything of a chance, you bastard! Now, think. And it's in plain view, yet not to be seen, and optical tricks involved. Optical. Finally, I'm keen to see what is not to be seen by the naked eye. It's microscopic. Only a fragment of it is showing. That's it!
The traditional tool of your trade, Inspector. Why don't you ask yourself how your man Merrydick would go about the search?
Merrydew, Singered Lord Merrydew! Calm, keep calm. Now, think. What are the properties of crystal? Hard, brilliant, transparent. You look through it, but you don't see it. That's the trick. Now, the only place to conceal a transparent thing so as to make it invisible and yet leave it in plain view is on or in another transparent thing like... Clear as crystal. But I don't need to destroy this, do I? She could have left it here any time.
True.
Go on, what next?
The next object is much more incriminating. Here's a little riddle which I'm sure one of your nannies must have taught you. Two brothers we are, great burdens we bear, on which we are bitterly pressed. The truth is to say we are full all the day, and empty when we go to rest.
I know that. Full, just a minute. All the day, empty when we go to... I know! It's a pair of shoes!
In this case, one lady's left black shoe, size 6. The other, I need hardly add, is on Taya's foot.
God, poor Taya!
Poor Taya, eh? That's better. Do you know that's the first sign of sorrow you've shown since you heard of her death?
I wouldn't put it here anyway. Or even upstairs among Marguerite's shoes. It's too obvious.
Such grief is touching. You really are the salt of the earth. You know that, Andrew. By the way, that's a clue, if you're interested.
Oh, salt of the earth? Earth is buried. No, buried the other. Salt and pepper, salt peter, salt water, salt cellar. It's in the cellar!
You're really turned on, aren't you, Andrew? Even though the game you're playing is for your own life, you're practically having it off. Shoe. I ask myself, if I was a black shoe, where would I hide? If I was as black as your hat. If I was as black as the ace of spades. If I was as black as... You're getting warmer and blacker. Must be quite a new experience for you.
I don't suppose blacks play much of a part in the books you write, do they? Except for the odd eyeball-rolling darky to take his place alongside the swarthy Yid, the oily Levantine, and others of that kidney up. I'm sorry it's so messy. It's only earth. From Taya's first grave in your garden.
Not so bad. We're up at the clock, I think.
Barely.
Well, what's next? What do you find so damned amusing? What the hell are you laughing at? You sure you're all right?
Yes, I'm all right. Jack.
Jack? Simple-minded twit, you've been handing me the clue all along. It's Johnny Jack Tarts on the sailor.
True. That's where it is. But this time, I am not going to tell you what it is. He looked disappointed in you. But then it's no laughing matter. Or is it?
Do that again. My God, he's never winked at me before. Suppose the other lash is on one of poor Taya's eyes.
She won't miss it. They're both closed.
How much more time?
You've got about 5 minutes. Hardly enough, I'd say.
There's one more thing left, I think. The murder weapon. You strangled her over there with what? A rope? A belt? A scarf?
Bit into her neck very deeply, Andrew. I had to pry it loose.
Pay for that, I promise, you sadistic bloody wop!
I hope I didn't hear that correctly. You're certain to need more help. I'd hate to have to start giving you difficult Italian clues full of treachery and double meaning.
All right. All right.
As several wops have remarked from time to time, non è oro tutto che scintilla.
Well, is that a clue? Say the damn thing again, then.
Non è oro tutto che scintilla.
Oh, once more, please.
Non è oro tutto che scintilla.
Ora. Che ora? What's the time? No, ora pro nobis. No. Oro! Gold! Oro tutto! All gold! Scintilla. Scintillare, gold scintillates, glitters. All that glisters is not gold.
There will always be in England.
You strangled her with something golden and scintillating. What's that? Musical cue, right now. Golden notes, golden scale, golden chord. It's a chord! You strangled her with a golden chord, like everybody does. You hid it behind the bell pull. No, damn it, you didn't. Anything goes! In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shock. Stocking! Well, what do you put stockings up on legs? Legs, golden legs. Lot of golden leg in the blasted house. Is it in this room?
Non capisco.
Bastard!
In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now heaven knows, anything goes. The world has gone mad today, and good. I think I can hear something. Andrew! What? They're here. The police are here. It looks like you've had it.
They're coming up the drive.
Keep them out!
Keep the police out? It's just not done, old boy. But still, I'll try.
Just one more minute. Stolen somehow. Please.
Remember, in olden days, a glimpse of stocking.
Mr. Tyndall.
Olden days.
I wasn't expecting to find you here, sir. Good evening, Sergeant Tarrant.
Olden days.
Be so prompt.
Before tights, what? Nylon. Before nylon, what? Silk. What else? What else? Oh. Clocks. Stockings had clocks in olden days. Glimpse. Now you see it. Now you don't.
It wouldn't take long to dig up, Sergeant. Why don't I have a go at it? Oh, surely that can wait until morning, then. By then, the garden should be available for a statement. Mr. White's statement, I can want to hear Mr. Tyndall. Even at the risk of inconvenience, I'm afraid. But just let me tell him you're here.
Andrew? Is it all right if I introduce Detective Sergeant Tarrant and Constable Higgs?
Oh, yes, of course. Come in, gentlemen. Come in. Do.
Or should I say, Inspector Plodder and Constable Freshface.
Thank you, Sergeant. We won't be needing you after all.
That's all right, sir. Better to be safe than sorry. That's what I always say, sir.
Good night, Sergeant.
Good night, sir.
Good night, Constable.
Good night, sir.
First, I suppose you'll want to know about Taya. She did call yesterday while I was setting up the Doppler scene. And I told her about the trick that you played on me with the gun.
And she wasn't a bit surprised. She knows only too well the kind of games you like to play, the kind of humiliation you enjoy inflicting on other people. I explained to her that I wanted to play a game and get even with you, and I asked her to lend me a stocking, a shoe, a false eyelash, and that bracelet that you bought her. And she was happy to help. And so was her flatmate, Joyce.
Would you like to phone Taya? She'll talk to you now.
But then, you wouldn't have very much to say to her, would you? She's not really your mistress, is she? She told me
that you and her haven't made it together for over a year. She also told me that you are practically impotent.
Not at all, in fact. The selector's choice for the next Olympics. I warned you, Andrew. I don't play games for the sport! Particularly not games of humiliation. I know too much about that.
Where are you going?
I'm going to get Marguerite's fur coat.
She's not coming back.
No.
I live as I want to live.
You know, I've been thinking of that writer you told me about. And it is my opinion that your detective stories are the normal recreation of snobbish, outdated, life-hating, ignoble minds. I'll get that fur coat now.
You see, Inspector, I was working in my study when I heard a noise in here. So I took a revolver and I came in here to investigate. Here was this young man running down the stairs with my wife's fur coat over his arm. I shouted for him to stop, but he wouldn't pay any attention, but ran on towards the door, hoping to make his escape. Naturally, I fired. I aimed low. Believe me, Inspector, I did. Most appalling thing happened. I shot him dead.
That's all right, sir. Don't distress yourself unduly. A thing like that could happen to anyone.
I can't let you go now.
What do you mean?
Going about telling everyone. It's just not possible.
Whom would I tell? Who'd be interested?
One person would be too many, even Marguerite. Especially Marguerite.
What are you going to do then, Andrew? Shoot me down? Play that old burglar game again?
That's right.
It wouldn't work now.
No. Why not, I wonder?
Because of what really happened after I left here last Friday night.
Oh. What really happened?
I did lurch home, dazed, dirty, and humiliated. And I sat up all night. And in the morning, I went to the police station and I told them what you'd done to me. And one of them, Detective Sergeant Tarrant, oh yes, he's real. He took me into a little room and we had a long chat. But I don't think he paid very much attention to anything I said. So I thought to myself, he's not going to do anything about this.
No. Why not?
You know the answer to that just as well as I do. In his eyes, I'm just some common little git who's been screwing the wife of a local knob and got what he deserved. So perhaps the police won't come by as they said they would. But even if they don't, they'd never believe that burglar story of yours. Not now. So you see, You've lost.
You can't fool me anymore, Milo. I haven't believed a single word you've been saying.
It's the truth.
Liar.
Phone Sergeant Tarrant if you don't believe me.
You come here and announce your intention to steal away my wife. You pry into my manhood. You lecture me on ignoble minds. And you mock the creation of my life. St. John, Lord, merit you. Well, they're all real bullets this time.
The game's over, Andrew. I'm going home now.
Milo, you do see, well, not really, a very good games player. I mean to say, never play the same game 3 times running.
Andrew, don't forget. Be sure and tell them it was just a bloody game.